So the NES Classic Edition is coming out on Friday the 11th. People are really abuzz about this. Remember, it's going to have 30 built-in NES games. It's really small and cute. When I saw it at Comic-Con, it's about, it's literally the width just about of an NES controller. And it comes with an NES controller that, has a short cord, but I'll get to that in a bit. But it's modeled just like the original NES controller. It'll have 30 games. It'll have 3 different display modes. You have the original CRT with the scan lines, like your old-fashioned old wood RCA TV. You're going to have your 4:3, which is, just the shape of an old TV without the scan lines. And Pixel Perfect, which is more of a square, closer to a square, which is what if you're playing an emulator, that's always an option, but that's not how we used to see it on our TV. And you're going to have your save states, and you're going to have 5 per game, and you're going to have your QR scan codes in order to look at the manuals on your phone, which is an awesome idea. So early reviews are coming in. I want to talk about the IGN review real quick. The IGN review was a good review. It was not a great review. Kind of shocked by that. So it was about like a 7.6 out of 10 on there. So what surprised me there was that the short length of the cord on the NES controller is what really peeved them the most. Really was the only downside, I should say, to this system. So it comes with the one controller. Extra one's available for $10. Remember, this is the same port that you see on the Wii U and the Wii. That's sort of like it's hard to describe the shape there, but you know when you see it. It's not an NES port, so that means it's compatible with like the Wii U, like those controllers, like the classic controller plus things like that. So that was the complaint, was that the cable's about 2.5 feet. So that means you're gonna have your NES. You have to have your NES close to you, not just because of the short cable, but also because you need the buttons available on the system in order to go back to the main menu. The reviewer unfortunately forgot that the compatibility with other controllers like the Classic Pro controller means that you don't need that because that has a much longer cable, and there's a lot more buttons on the Classic Pro, which will enable you like the start and home buttons, I should say, the plus and minus, all that. You'll be able to get back to the menu and play other games. So not the biggest sort of downside there. Now the question still remains, will this get into people's hands? We are, 2 weeks out from Thanksgiving. Black Friday is going to be big. People, throwing elbows, getting into Best Buy early, running each other over with shopping carts. It's always fun, that footage. Always fun. That's really worth the risk. You want to get $20 off a toaster, and you risk, getting an eye gouged out by an old lady looking to get $5 off a hairdryer. It's fantastic. So the 30 games, I won't go through them all again, but you have, the Super Mario Bros. Trilogies, Zelda 1 and 2, Kirby's Adventure, Tecmo Bowl, Punch-Out! Minus Mike Tyson, Final Fantasy. These are some really good games. And again, if you're listening to this is my audience. This is not necessarily for you. It's marketed towards you, but it's also marketed towards the millions of other people that aren't into retro gaming. Going through that again. So this is going to sell a ton. The problem, though, is that if you look up right now where to pre-order it from, you're kind of limited to nothing. The last time I looked it up, I think a couple days ago, nothing Best Buy, nothing on Amazon. GameStop doesn't have it. And the word is that GameStop's going to have only like 5 per store, which is insane. So already you have scumbag sellers online trying to scalp this. NES Classic Edition. Typing it into eBay. Yeah, $125, $180, $133. Of course, no one really has this in hand yet, but that's a whole other conversation. Unless Nintendo sent you one, and I saw people tweeting out that they received one. Pat didn't get one, but that's a whole other conversation. So they're selling. People are spending $133 on these. I think you got to be careful. Obviously, Nintendo's going to pump out more of these. Hopefully it happens by early December where they realize, whoa, these are selling well. Nintendo likes to hedge their bets, obviously, but it's really strange why they're going to do that. It's almost as if they have no one in marketing to gauge how successful their marketing's been. It's like they're not doing any market research to gauge interest with the general public. That's the only thing I can think of. This thing was announced back in July? So they've had a good 3.5, 4 months to pump these out, get the production line going, but they're still going to fall short, at least for the first, probably I'd say 2 to 3 weeks. Now, Nintendo does do a good job of catching up eventually. They did that with the Amiibo, so collectors that went into with the Amiibo all lost their shirt because they're all worthless now. Obviously, with the Wii, they eventually pumped out enough. The Wii U, they pumped out a lot right away, so much so that the scalpers got hosed on that, thankfully. So, will you be able to get one? Yeah, sure. Before Christmas, I hope. We all hope, because we don't want the scalpers to win. Absolutely not. So, Nintendo's going to be celebrating the release of the NES Classic Edition in a few different ways. They're going to be doing an NES charity marathon. Oh, no, wait, that's me. That's me on November 12th and 13th at NESmarathon.com, benefiting the Children's Miracle Network. That's me. No. What is Nintendo doing? For 3 days only, they're bringing back their Nintendo tips line, the power line. So the number's going to be 425-885-7529 from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which I'm guessing is what that was back in the day. I don't know. My parents would never let me call, a number to get tips. You had long distance back then, not even just 900 numbers. You had long distance you had to get charged for on landline. So there'll be recorded tips for several games, plus behind-the-scenes stories from original gameplay counselors. I already know at least one person that plans on calling this up and recording everything on here during that weekend for posterity, and I think a lot of people will do that. I think it'll be cool, especially if they're original tips that they sort of saved. So the social media is going to be taken over. It's going to be hashtag NESterday. I might be able to use that for the NES Marathon. And they're going to try to, I guess, go back to a time when there was no social media and just trading. It says, according to this, trading passwords and game tips on the school bus. That's a time they're trying to go back to with Twitter, I guess, and Facebook. Not sure how it's going to work. And if you go to the Nintendo New York store, there's going to be a retro 80s event, which I think is awesome. 80s themed launch event. So going back to October 85, I guess, with the first 250 visitors able to play classic NES games, participate in a costume contest, dressed as their favorite Nintendo characters. And they're going to have a retro Nintendo game show. Oh, Pat's missing out on that. Damn it, I wish I was still in New Jersey just for that. And then Doug Bowser, that's not a made-up name, Nintendo of America's Senior VP of Sales and Marketing. Many of us have fond and wonderful memories of the original NES. With these launch activities for the NES Classic Edition, we want to replicate the nostalgic feelings of sitting down and playing the NES with your family for the first time. Hey, Doug, I got an idea how to do that. Make more of them. Make enough NES Classic Editions so that people don't have to go to scalpers on eBay. Have GameStop stock 30 or 40 or 50 per store, not 5. Put it in the word there, buddy. No, it's not up to you entirely, buddy, but, I think you can do it. So that's all I got to say on this. Let me know in the comments if you're still excited for it, or if you're turned off by the lack of pre-sales. I kind of am. I did order the book, not a certain NES guidebook, but the Playing with Power book on Amazon. So I'll have that ready to go. Even before getting the system. And the other thing on Amazon I forgot to bring up last time in the podcast, when it was both Ian and myself. Ian's sick, by the way. I know you're going to be asking for the next 2 weeks when these segments come out. They're coming out with a collector's carrying case, which is so cute, for the NES Classic Edition. And that's available on Amazon. I believe it's $20. Yes, it's the NES Classic Edition carrying case. It's on Prime. It's adorable. It's adorbs. It fits. It looks like 2 controllers. Remember, the Classic Edition comes with 1. 2 controllers, a system, and it looks like a little space for, I don't know, it's like for the USB cable that it's powered by. It's almost like an AC power supply space, but there's no AC adapter for this. It's going to be a USB, or maybe for the HDMI cable as well. Either way, it's adorbs. If I say that again, shoot me. And I'm going to order that before I even get the system, so I have it ready to go. So again, check out the NES Marathon. It'll be the weekend of November 12th and 13th. And I can piggyback on that hashtag of NES. And was it NES yesterday? Huh. Doesn't have quite the ring to it as NES Marathon, does it?